Scratch is a great tool for all sorts of projects. It is also very beginner friendly, featuring convenient blocks in every tab. But there's one tab that's missing something. The sound tab is the smallest part of the Scratch editor, even smaller than a pen extension. It has no way to know which sound is playing, and no way to stop single sounds. So how do people even keep track of sounds in complex projects? They don't, but I found a neat solution that actually works. So there's a hidden trick involving one rule most people overlook. And today I'm gonna show how you can create your own audio engine in Scratch. The Scratch sound engine is fine at playing sounds, but after that, Scratch just dumps your controller like you're some evil villain, and the only way to stop it is by using the inbuilt sound block. But the only problem is that it stops literally everything. But that's where the holy volume block comes in handy. By using volume blocks, we can stop singular sounds from making sound just by literally muting them. You probably already know that, but what you didn't know is that this applies to clones too. That's also where clones come in. So the plan is to create a clone every time we want to make a sound, and we can just use a list to cue in sounds. We can also cue in commands like stopping the sound. So let's start by building the foundation of this engine to see if the concept works, you know? So basically, the control center is where we'll be receiving any commands from the sound queue, the list, you know? And then we'll do the important stuff as start and stopping the sound. It stops automatically after the sound is done playing, but we can also add it if we want to. Actually, we can also add pause if we do a small little of tricks. And resume, of course. Actually, this command center is very versatile. You can add so many commands of your own. Like for example, Cats of Water, I added a fade out. So it will fade out and then stop the sound when the command is called. Really cool, right? And you can add your own custom commands if you want. But I'm just going to show you how you can start, stop, and pause the sound. Okay, let's open up a new project. Okay, first things first, we need to create the variables. You can just delete my variable. It's not very useful now. So the important ones are sound, for this point only, and then capital sound for all sprites. And also in this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can implement volume for this part only, remember, and pitch, and even pan, which is kind of cool. But we need a list. We need a list to cue in sounds, in which we should call sound cue for all sprites. And also the meat and potatoes of this sound engine is playing. We can keep track of which sound is playing, and that is really cool. So make that all for all sprites. Right now, you can just put it around. We may need these variables to be showing. Okay, maybe not pan, pitch, and volume, but you know. Okay. So we need to create a script like this. When green feels like, delete all of playing and sound cue, and we are working on the control center or the receiver, so we need to get values from the sound cue. Actually, let me add some values to the sound cues as an example. Let's say we wanted to play a sound, then we need to add play and then bossa nova, for example. See, now I have play and bossa nova. So we need to check if there's actually stuff inside of sound cue. So if the length is sound cue is more than 0, that means there is at least one item in sound cue, then it will do whatever it says, the first one says. So the first one says play, So if the first one in sound cue is play, then we set the sound, the lowercase sound, that is the one in this sprite only, and then we make the clone. We still need to add pan, pitch, and volume. Volume, not sound. That's easy. We just remember to assign all this. So let's just make some numbers. We can have 100 volume, of course, 100%, and then just no pitch and no pound. That should work. Now we need to assign this. So play bossa nova, that is the sound, which is the second one to the sound. That is the volume. So, and that is item number 3, sound cue. And then we have pitch, which is number 4 here, and pan, number 5 over here. And then we create a clone. Now, after we created the clone and the clone makes the sound, we want to delete this. So we can make a new custom block. That's much easier. Just name it drain, drain, and then add an input, commands. So this will drain some amount of commands. Okay. So how many commands are we using? Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 commands to play a sound. So drain 5 commands. Draining 5 commands, that's easy. We just repeat commands, that will repeat it 5 times supposedly, and then just delete the first item in sound cue a couple of times. Okay, so cool. We can just put it here. We're not going to change it later and stuff. Okay, so you might actually want to, stop a sound while it's playing. And we can also add that. Let's do it. The first one is stop. And then we can also choose what sound we want to stop, which is the cool thing about this engine. And so we just set the capital sound this time to item number 2. So let's make an example. If we want to stop bossa nova sound, we can do that. Stop and bossa nova. So the capital sound, why are we using a global value sound? Well, that's because we can tell all sounds that if they are we can tell all clones that if they're playing bossa nova, they can, stop it. Only if they're playing bossa nova. If they were playing something else, like meow or something, then they will not stop, because, yeah. So let's make a message. This will message everyone and every clone, okay? So what do we need to call it? Well, we need to call it change sound. This, not only are we going to use this on stopping sound, we are also going to use this on pausing and resuming, and yeah, that's if you want to change the sound while it's playing. So change sound. Now we are able to stop the sound, which is really cool. And also, while we're here, we can also add pause the sound. The first one is pause. Then we can pause the sound and change the sound. And also resume. There you go. now we need to go on to... So the clone should be quite easy. We already use for this sprite only a sound variable, so each clone knows what sound they're playing. And after they're done playing the sound, we need to remember to delete them from playing the list, you know? Okay, let's jump back into our project. So we have already created a clone here. Let's just start. By making the clone play the sound it was requested to play, which is not number 2 of sound cue, but it's the lowercase sound. That is important. Also, we should also want to, you know, add playing, so we know that sound is playing. Actually, if you want to, you can also add playing here, which makes it instant. Okay, I'll add it there. And actually, because we're using clones, our normal start sound and wait won't actually stop the whole script. It will only stop the clone. So play sound until done. Yes. And that's how we know when it's playing, because that is pausing this clone script. And after it's done playing, we delete its sound and then delete the clone, cause we ain't using it no more. Anyways, we have also added pitch, volume, and pan, so we need to also add that in. Set pitch, set pan, and set volume. This is very useful. The volume is going to be very useful later. Anyways, just set it, pitch, and pan. Very simple stuff like that. And then we have the clone script. Anyways, moving on to... So commands like stop, pause, and resume all calls a message named change sound. In that message, we'll check for the clone and we'll check for what thing it needs to do and then do it on the clone that's selected. Enough talking, let's jump back into our project. Before we do the change sound broadcast, we need to change this broadcast sound because we also want to drain the commands. We only have 2 commands here, 2 here, and 2 there. Okay, cool. And then we need to replace those sounds with and wait. Here too. And there. Okay, now we can start on the when I receive change sound. So we need to know what it needs to be doing. So if sound cue is equal to stop, but before that we need to check if the sound we want to change is actually this clone, so the sound. So if the first of the sound cue is stop, for example, we can just not stop all sounds, but use this volume block. Set it to 0. And actually we can also delete the clone because we won't be using it after we stop it. Okay. So maybe you want to pause it too. We can use a neat little trick, you know. Okay. Pause, capital pause, and set volume to 0, and also set the pitch to negative infinity. We do that by dividing by 0. Scratch fix dividing by 0 by turning it into negative infinity or infinity. Kind of useful for trigonometry and stuff. But anyways, set pitch as to negative infinity. Now it won't actually set it to negative infinity, but it will set it to lower than negative 360, which is the normal limit, apparently. Also, we also want to resume it. Yeah, we need to remember to resume it. If we want to pause it, we need to resume it eventually. Right? Okay. So set pitch effect to the clone's pitch effect and set volume to the clone's volume. Because the volume might be 10, the volume might be 50, the pitch might be 10 too. So we need to remember to set it to its original state, you know? Actually, before I test it out, I made a big mistake. As you can see here, this will delete nothing. It will not delete anything. So, what did I do wrong? This will delete the first item of play. This will delete Bossa Nova item of playing. That doesn't exist. So, we still need to delete something. So, we need to delete the item of a thing in playing. The item ID of Bossa Nova playing is 1. Now it will work. Also, we need to add this over there before we delete this. So we need to remember to delete our playings. Okay, let's now try it out. Let's play Bossa Nova. And okay, let's stop. It works? Okay, let's try again. Now we can pause and resume. Pause and resume. Which is really cool and all. Let's try playing multiple sounds at once. Let's play Bossa Nova and play some meow sounds. But it works and it also shows out in playing. We can pause and play meows and then resume. And it all just kind of works inside the one sprite. Isn't that cool? And also we can see which one is playing, which is also very cool. So yeah. Well done! Now you know how you can implement my audio engine in your project. I can't wait to see cool new uses of this audio engine. That's why I made a studio for this. In here, you can put your projects that use this groundbreaking audio technology. So go check it out and bye!